So I got a new iPhone, and if you guys saw the last time I got a new iPhone, we immediately headed out and did some super sketchy stuff, nearly smashed it, and we're gonna have to test the new one out exactly the same and head out into the world and shoot some really fun content with it. I want to talk to you guys about how you can actually make your mobile footage look super cinematic regardless of if it's an iPhone or any other phone, because there's certain things that you can do to give yourself a way better chance of achieving that professional cinematic look on nothing but a phone. Regardless of what device you guys are filming on, having all of this beautiful footage that you've filmed just rotting away on your hard drive is never a good idea, and that's where Wirestock, the sponsor of today's video, comes into play. Wirestock is a stock video and photo distribution site where you can upload all of your photos and videos, and they do the work of distributing them across all of the major stock media libraries. And before you guys are like, oh, stock footage is so hard to do and you have to do all of that metadata and tagging, Wirestock offers free tagging and metadata for all of your stock footage, meaning that they set up everything that you guys need to do. You just upload that footage and it gets put out to all the stock footage sites across the entire internet, which is a huge thing because it makes it way easier just to get them all out there. Wirestock doesn't charge any sign-up fee, and they only take a commission when they actually make a sale with your stock footage, meaning that they only get paid when you as the creator gets paid. So there's really no harm in uploading a bunch of the awesome footage that you guys are filming onto the website and just letting it do its thing and make you guys money while you sleep and while you're out filming more awesome footage. Wirestock is going to be linked at the top of the description. They are the place to go if you guys are wanting to do stock footage or just make some passive income on the side while you guys are doing your awesome video work. So just before we actually head out into the world and start shooting some footage on this, I want to speak to you guys a little bit about the technical stuff. First off, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do by filming on a mobile phone is replicate a more professional and cinematic look that they would be doing for professional video gigs. So there's a few things that we can do to our phones to allow us to help us replicate the more professional look a little bit easier. The first thing is going to be apps, because having different apps is going to allow you to have more control over your phone, allow you to control all of the settings manually, and give you access to a lot of other things that are going to be similar to what you would see on a professional camera, which is what we actually want to try and do at the end of the day. There's a lot of different apps you guys can get. I think the most popular one and the one I would recommend is called Filmic Pro. This is not sponsored and you do have to pay for this app, but I think it's worth it and it's not too expensive. It allows you to do some crazy things on your mobile phone, like controlling all of your settings. You can even pull focus with little sidebars. You have access to things like a histogram and other waveforms that you can do there for your exposure. And it also just gives you some really nice settings that you can change all in your phone that you wouldn't usually be able to do if you were just shooting in the standard video app that comes with your phone. So that's the first important thing that I think is really gonna make a big difference and allow you to get all of those controls off your phone. The next thing is gonna be accessories, because if you think about it, even if you're shooting with a professional camera, it's very rare that you'll just be shooting bare bones camera. So there's no reason for you to be doing the same thing with your phone, just having it like this. You need to kit it out, make it easier to do cinematic style stuff. And I think one of the most important things that you guys need is to have a phone to tripod mount, basically just so you can put your phone in here and attach it to things like tripods or any other accessories that you might want to use. Next up is going to be a gimbal, which means you'll still have the phone mount on here if you get a phone specific gimbal. This one is the Zhiyun Tech Smooth 5 and it's an absolutely amazing one, probably the most like high-end professional one you can get for mobile phones. I highly recommend it. But basically by having a gimbal, it's going to allow you to do all of those crazy shots and get like really stable slides and dolly shots. It's going to give that professional feeling that you would see in Hollywood because you have one of these style tools that you require to get those shots. You can't just do it by having a phone. You can, but it's not going to be as nice. It's going to have some shake in it. So having tools like this is going to make a huge difference. And the last accessory that I want to recommend is some sort of ND filter for your phone, because now that you have access to all of those manual exposure settings, you want to make sure that you are doing things like having a 180-degree shutter angle so that you can get the correct amount of motion blur. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, I have another video up here that talks about all of that, and you can go and check it out. The one that I have, and by far the best one, is from Polar Pro, and it comes with a phone case like this that you can put on your phone. Unfortunately, this is for my old phone, and I'm still waiting to get one for my new phone. But putting this case on your phone allows you to attach this tripod mount onto it. So now you have that, and then even more so, it has these little filter threads so you can attach legit ND filters onto your phone like this, and then you have like legit variable NDs for your phone, which is gonna make the hugest difference. So having a setup like this and then putting this on something like the Smooth 5 is gonna make a huge difference compared to just shooting like that. With all that being said, let's head out into the real world and start shooting some actual fun stuff. I'm also super excited to announce that I've been working on a cinematic mobile filming course that is just about to be released. It's a deep dive into everything mobile filmmaking, from settings, apps, shooting in the real world, and even editing. If you guys do want to check it out, it's available for pre-launch, and you can purchase it now for 50% off of what it's going to be selling for when it actually launches in the coming weeks. So go and check it out, link top of the description. Okay, first thing is gonna be shooting in the correct resolution and frame rate. As a general rule, you should be shooting in your highest resolution, and if you're wanting to achieve a cinematic look, 24 frames per second is the industry standard. If you want to shoot slow motion, you can bump that FPS up so that you can slow it down later on, giving you all of those extra frames. But remember that it's going to compromise on the resolutions that you're using and often only allow you to use a lower one. The next thing is going to be the same things that would apply to any filmmaker, not just a mobile one, and that is things like composition. Just because you're shooting on a phone, it doesn't mean it's not important to focus on things like the rule of thirds, some leading lines, and foreground or general pleasing composition for your shots that you are going to be filming, regardless of the camera you're using. The next thing is going to be lighting, and I'm sure you guys have heard how you need to be shooting at golden hour or any appropriate lighting for the scene that you guys have at hand. So make sure that the light is going to look nice, especially for something like a mobile phone where it's going to be more contrasty and not as of a high quality and high dynamic range as a more professional camera. It's important that you guys get the best lighting scenario possible for the thing that you are going to be shooting. The next thing is going to be using cinematic style movement in your shots. So having that gimbal that we mentioned is going to allow you to do this with a lot more ease, but even if you don't have it, you can still apply some nice smooth cinematic movement into your shots, whether that's some tracking shots, maybe it's a follow shot, or just any other nice, smooth, and professional looking movements that you can incorporate into the shots that you will be filming on your mobile phone. So of course, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is put together a nice edit, and I'm gonna show you guys my edit that I am creating right here in a second. But first, I just wanna mention a couple of other things once you've done your nice edit that you can do to make sure that your video looks as cinematic and professional as possible. If you guys wanna see some editing techniques, I actually just put out a video like that, and you can check it out here on this side and get some ideas of that. But for this one, I just want to mention a couple of things. The first one being that slowing down your footage, if you were able to shoot in a higher frame rate, is going to create a nice, smooth, cinematic look. Now, don't overuse the slow motion. Don't apply it to every single clip as slow as it possibly can be the whole time. But you can see with these clips, if I was to play this one in normal speed or in slow motion, the slow motion does give it just a little bit of an edge to that cinematic look. So that's something awesome you guys can try and do. The next thing, and one of the funnest parts about making your mobile footage look cinematic, is the color grade. Now, I generally just use one of the LUTs from my LUT pack, which are available for you guys to purchase if you want to check them out. They are also going to be in the description. If you don't want to use my ones, you can use other people's LUTs. They're going to be the easiest way to get a nice cinematic look on your footage without having a crazy knowledge of color and color grading. And what I'm gonna show you right here is just me applying a LUT to the same clip, and you can see with just the click of a button, it goes from looking like this to something like this, which is way better in my opinion. And like I said, if you guys do want to get those LUTs, they are linked in the top of the description. Now, something you want to keep in mind is mobile footage is often a lot more contrasty than a professional camera. So you might want to lower the contrast, and you might also want to just take down your highlights and lift your shadows, because the dynamic range is going to be a lot worse on a mobile phone. If you're shooting on something like an iPhone and you were using HDR, maybe that's not going to be the case, but for a lot of the time, it's going to be way over color graded straight out of the phone. If you guys want to find out a little bit more about color grading and go in depth into it, I have a full color grading video, which you guys can find up here, and that's going to just deep dive into how you actually might want to color grade your footage to your personal preference. But once you have done a color grade and you're happy with it, there is another thing that you can do, which is also largely about preference, but it's replicating the anamorphic look and getting that widescreen. And if you guys have ever seen those black bars on the top and bottom of the clip, it's basically that. It's trying to copy the anamorphic look and get a much wider aspect ratio than just the regular 16:9 that your phone will be filming in. So we can easily just drop that on with some sort of PNG that you can download off the internet of like cine bars or wide bars. Otherwise, you can just crop out your image. Otherwise, if you don't want to actually see those black bars when you upload it to YouTube, but you do want it to be a wider aspect ratio, you can just change that in your sequence settings in Premiere Pro or whatever editing platform you might be on. You're going to have that much wider screen without the black bars in. Some people like the black bars. It makes it look more cinematic. So it's really up to you guys and the preference you have towards it. Okay, and boom, that is pretty much going to be it. And if you guys were to take a look at just this clip for the editing segment, if you see the before and here is the after, you can see that the second one looks much more cinematic. Let's also have a look at the entire video that we were able to film on the beach and how we managed to make it look cinematic. Let's roll it. Boom, I hope you guys think that was cool. It was really a nice video in my opinion for having filmed it on a mobile phone. Remember that if you guys want to check out my course, it is available for pre-sale right now. And remember that if you guys want to make money while you sleep with Wirestock, they are going to be linked in the top of the description. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed this and I will see you in the next one. Bye.